Hey everybody, gonna do some pixel art here. Give me a minute to set up the stream. You can see my awesome XP pen. A new friend hooked me up with. He was selling and I was buying. Worked out nicely. I forget how to use Twitch here. Where the heck is the thing? Oh, stream. That's what the heck is going on here. Still getting used to this setup here. Got the camera over there. But of course it can't see my face. So I might look at it from. All right, let's. All right, it looks like Twitch. I'm just checking the different area. Looks like Facebook is live. Mixer is live. And it looks like Periscope is live. And it looks like YouTube is live. Everything is live. Amazing. Cool. I'm just making sure everything's muted. So yeah. Just home from work with all of the COVID stuff. So great time to get back into streaming here, right? So and with this cool stuff, it's become super easy. Essentially got hotkeys set up here. Just off camera. So yeah, you can now see these buttons here. Face. This one's Control Z, so I'm not gonna hit it. This one's brush, eraser. I've got shift down here and my eyedropper there. I have not mapped G yet. So I've just been hitting it on my keyboard. G is for fills and gradients and stuff. Who's talking to me here? Oh, hey. Yeah, I'm using Aseprite here and Unity to make the software. By the way, thanks for joining. I appreciate it, Gastrals. And Boxhead Orca. It's always good to see you. Or to hear from you. Yeah, so this is what I'm working on. I can actually, well, I guess it's just easier to use this, right? So, this is what I'm doing here. No, I thought I had more drawn. That's, I remember I had veins and stuff. Maybe I didn't save it. That's sad. That makes me wonder, but I've already started working on this one. So, I didn't really put that much work into the veins, and they weren't that great. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep going on. I'm gonna throw on some music real quick here, so it doesn't get boring. No, this is not Photoshop. This is much cheaper than Photoshop. This was what, 15 bucks, I think. I think I grabbed it on sale. It's Aseprite. It's you can find it on Steam, I think. I bought it from Humble, which was useful because I can put it on multiple systems. Which you could probably do with Steam also. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely recommend Aseprite. 100%. I recommend Aseprite. Absolutely. It's just super useful for animation. This isn't really the best to show off the animation here, but up here where my arrow pointers are here, um, that's like your frames, and all I've got going on here is this real simple animation. So yeah, like this doesn't really exemplify how good it is. I honestly don't have that much experience with Clip Studio. I've played with it, but I've actually played with Krita more, and I really hate it. But I've played with what's the other one? GIMP even more than Krita, and I hated that one too. Um, but Photoshop is good for pixel art. It's really terrible for animation compared to Aseprite. Yeah, Krita is just really bad. I still use it because it's kind of like a test of patience at this point. It's almost fun. Um, but yeah, like I recently switched from like Adobe for video editing to DaVinci Resolve, and I have really good experience with that. Compared to like Krita or something like that, is the complete opposite. I don't know why the music cut out there for a second. Yeah. So I've heard good things about Clip Studio. So I definitely will probably grab a copy of that too, because I just like to have the free software around. Yeah, but I'm gonna actually start drawing here now. Basically, I've just been making blobs along this edge, and I'm gonna kind of repeat it along here to give it the effect of like a foreground and a background. So the ball is going to travel in front or in front of this layer and behind this layer, and but there's going to be like some bricks and stuff inside there that I haven't drawn yet. And I'm probably going to introduce a new mechanic right there. I think that'll be like a fun reward for beating the boss, and then the level end will be just like right up at the top there. Um, but yeah, that's about where I'm at. Uh, so yeah, I just got plus and minus buttons. Yeah, so I haven't quite gotten the animation for the head figured out yet. Sorry, I haven't been reading the chat. You asked if it goes through the body. So it's going to go through where that when I remove the head, and it already does that in the game. If you beat it, I'm trying to find the right layer. There's a whole bunch of layers here. So yeah, essentially like a whole bunch of layers get removed. I yeah, it's like it's lost in there. A bunch of layers get removed. Um, yeah. Uh, Sorry, I'm slowing down here to read the chat. Gastral says I was watching so many videos the whole day on 2D games. I want to make the game art so that I can have something to follow with. Thank you. I will watch your video. Um, cool. Yeah, no, there's actually a ton of different stuff that I've been doing over the last couple years for this game, and then just also to help indie developers. I actually have a podcast that I've been doing too, which is kind of cool. But yeah, in my Discord, there's essentially just a bunch of game developers, mostly making games. Some of them are, more hobbyists. Some of them are more professional, and some of them are just solo developers. Some of them are specialized in one or two subjects. That still new to this thing, so I'm a little bit just still trying to get my bearings here, but difficult for me. So I kind of made these blobs earlier to fill in, and I'm just kind of doing the big ones, and then I'll go back and with a brush and just kind of draw over the small ones. I don't feel like going in there. I can get some of the big ones out of the way this way. I'm just gonna start with this edge. That'll be a good. So now I'm gonna get the brush and I found it's really easy to just use the UI in Aseprite with this tablet, which is really dope. Now I've got a little bit bigger brush, and Aseprite has this pixel perfect toggle that no one really talks about too much because it's kind of uh, if you use Aseprite you kind of know it, but if you don't use Aseprite, it's essentially it's really great, especially in one pixel mode. I'll do a little example here. So when you draw it, it looks way better than if you were to turn it off. You can see all of these jaggies and double corners and stuff. They go away, and it has nothing to do with the speed. The speed is just so I can fit it in a small space. You could do the same thing. You just get much better curves with that. So it's useful to know when to turn it off and turn it on. Backside Orca says, "Oh God, I need that." Yeah, no, it's really useful tool, especially for doing a rough drawing. I realized when you're doing a rough drawing, sometimes it's easier to think of it like a sketchbook, and just using a mouse. And I guess it doesn't really matter if you have a stylus or a mouse because some people prefer a mouse. But without using this pixel perfect toggle, it's like ah, it's completely different. You basically have to draw it and then redraw it and then redraw it again, and you just keep redrawing it until it fits that like natural flow that squares tend to have when you're making mosaic art, which essentially that's what we're doing here. So what that algorithm does is it just basically forces your lines to fit that flow to begin with, and since it's aesthetically pleasing to start, you don't even really notice that it's doing things for you. It's just really useful. Um, and then I also completely 100% think that this tablet is an extremely amazing purchase if you plan on doing the pixel art yourself. Um, yes, Clip Studio Paint has nothing like that, sadly, so you just have to do it manually. Honestly, I haven't seen it anywhere else. There might be in some of the other pixel art, like specialized image editing software, but from what I've seen, Aseprite, I mean, I kind of stopped looking, I guess, once I purchased Aseprite. I didn't want to keep purchasing them, and I know there's a few out there that have been around longer, and those might have it, but I kind of doubt it. I think that Aseprite is kind of new and more geared to the technology of today, and trying to merge Photoshop users to something that's better. Because all of the, I didn't even mention this, all of the, I feel like I'm working for Aseprite. I'm not. All of the shortcuts are the same from Photoshop. It's great. So your G, B, E, um, Control Z, obviously, your plus and minus, all that stuff works the same way that it does in Photoshop, and it's way better than GIMP for that, just for that purpose. But GIMP is good for its own purposes too. It has like layers and stuff. I mean, this has layers too, but so Aseprite's limitations are high res, right? Once you start getting into really large like 4K textures, you're not gonna want to use Aseprite for stuff like that. I've gotten away with using 512, um, and I think I've played with 1024 and 4K, but I didn't push it because I knew that it wasn't really meant to do it. And the problem is that if you get really deep into work like that, you can spend way too much time and then realize that you won't be able to get the finished product that you had. Like the vision that you had won't be able to be achieved by the software because it looked like it could, but once you put all of those pixels in, it has trouble loading or it starts crashing or something like that. And I haven't pushed Aseprite to do that, but I've definitely pushed different computers to do that with different image editing software, for sure. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna pull up the Facebook thing here because I know that if anyone comments on Facebook, it doesn't go through, but it doesn't look like anyone is. Looks like someone liked it on Facebook. That's fine. Boxhead says, yeah, for sure, each program has its own weakness. Yeah, I definitely 100% agree with that. I feel like I've said that like 5 times already, the 100% thing. But yeah, different software is going to have different, you know, valuable points to it, I guess. I don't know. Definitely. I agree. I really want to get into Blender. I think I think that's going to be like I'm gonna start spending a lot of time in that. I think. I don't know. I might purchase some stuff, um, but I don't know. We'll see what my budget looks like after because I've actually got quite a few purchases underway already. Um, I actually just bought a desk. I'm super excited for this desk. It should be coming next week, um, and it's an air desk. Oh man, I'm so excited for this. I gotta show this product off. Honestly, it's so cool. And I actually found it like 10 years ago or so. I was actually looking for a a desk that could go behind a drum set. That was my thing, right? Because I have this drum trigger. Say you don't have a desk, you're stuck in a bed. Oh yeah. Honestly, this is a makeshift desk, and the one behind it is a art table. So I've got two tables jammed up next to each other. I just figured out this would work. I had to print these risers on the floor. Um, I can't show you to, but there's just basically stuff that I cut with the laser cutter at work and glued together, and they're totally cool with that. They let me do stuff like that. But this desk that I'm looking at, as you can see, is super cool. I actually called them and talked to one of the service rep people that works there, probably one of the owners of the company. Um, and I asked him about like how many screens I could fit because obviously I've got like just like too many screens, you know. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna get the tallest one, and I got like 5 arms coming off, and like another for like a laptop, and another for a keyboard, and another for a mouse. It's like nearly $1,000 in the end, but I haven't had a desk my whole life, so I think it's time. I've been doing this, um, seriously. I started after high school. I mean, I'd already been doing it seriously, like the art stuff in high school, and I could have really benefit from having this art table in high school, but I ended up getting the art table instead of a desk when I went to college, and I used that since. So that's what 20 years now. Yeah, so I've been stuck without a desk for 20 years, and my back is messed up because of it. I have arthritis and stuff, so I've got issues anyways without um even if I had the ergonomics and stuff like that, I would still already have issues. It's true. A lot of artists surprisingly do not have desks, and I think that everyone should get a desk and a chair, and also I'm sitting on a cushion that's like tailbone support, and I think that the ergonomics and stuff like that is extremely important, and it's always overlooked, and it's real sad. But anyways, just to show off this desk real quick here, the accessories are just great, right? Um, yeah. So it's got these shelves, and then like shelves that arm off. It's got a cup holder one. I didn't get the cup holder or the book holder or anything like that. But I mean, check this out. This is an old school CRT monitor, so that means that it can hold some weight because those things were heavy. And then you can get a double heavy base add-on. Um, yeah. So it just puts another base on. I didn't end up grabbing this. I might, but I don't think it'll be needed. Um, I don't trust that one. I don't know how that was. It's just sitting on there. I don't know. I don't know. Projector arm. That looks like something cool. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the chunky. Yeah, this. So like I said, I found this website 10 years ago and it hasn't changed. Um, so like these laptops and the pictures were brand new, and these digital photos were high res when this website got put up. But the reviews and stuff are all new, and they're all good, and I haven't found anyone complaining about it online, and everyone still seems to be using the ones that they bought years ago. And like it's got a whole bunch of like ergonomic reviews and stuff like that. It really seems like the way to go for me, because I've been looking at sit stands, L shapes and stuff like that, and we're talking about spending $2,000-3,000 for some of that stuff, and I don't have a truck. Where am I gonna get this stuff from? I live in an apartment essentially. I mean, it's a condo, but it's essentially an apartment. How am I gonna get a desk like that through my door, up my stairs, like in the mail? I usually I'm working, so it's hard to get packages and stuff. So this can come in pieces. I think it'll be easier to take care of. I just think it'll be a way better experience for me, and I'm excited as hell. I really am. Despite the cost, I think that it's going to be totally worth it. So here, I was talking about using this pixel perfect thing. I usually turn it off when I'm trying to do fine detail. If I want the pixel to go exactly where I put it, then I turn it off. Um, but if you're trying to get like gestural strokes or outlines of things that you're not really sure of the placement of yet, that's when I turn it on. And it kind of took me a little bit to understand the value of knowing when to turn it on and off. But essentially, you pick up on it pretty quickly, because you start to get frustrated when it doesn't do what you want when you know it can, and you're like, well, how do I do that? Oh yeah, it's this little button here. Um, so Aseprite has a lot of little features like that. And as far as the UI goes, it's good. It's not great. It's not amazing. I like it. Actually, I love it. But what I don't like about it is that it deserves just a little bit more user testing. I think that someone with some like user experience, um, like experience, uh, should have been hired to do this, and it would be really hard to revamp now. So I feel like they've done a great job with what they have. But little things like I always forget where this this little button is. Like it moves this frames. It moves the frame. Oh, this thing. This thing for me is so hard to remember. So because this icon doesn't make sense. I mean, it's like I guess that's like settings, but it's like three sliders, right? So three sliders. Like first of all, there's only two sliders on this screen. Um, so you go into the screen, and here you can change the position, which is like super useful. Should be in the preferences. Is not in the preferences. It's over here. So in order to make it look a little bit more like Photoshop and have your layers on the right, because when you start, I believe it's on the bottom. It works for so when you have it on the bottom, it works great for long animations. Um, and then the right and the left, I guess, is preference if you're right or left-handed, or if you just want it on the left or right. But yeah. So yeah, that button is a little bit confusing, and that's honestly that's the only thing that I don't really like. I mean, there's a little bit more things that are confusing here. Like these are linked. So if I draw on any of the cells, it works across the animation here, which you get used to. These ones that aren't linked, if I don't draw on it, then it doesn't change. Um, but it seems confusing, but it's super useful once you get it down. I feel like that's probably one of the better ways of doing it. There could be multiple ways of doing it, but this is one very useful solution. And what's really cool about this is you notice this animation is all on what appears to be one set of frames, or one frame essentially. And then the frames are on these different essentially it's kind of like layers. It's almost like a little spreadsheet that's going on here. We've got your layers going up the vertical column, or your I'm sorry, that would be your rows are your layers, and then your columns are your frames. And you can select a whole column. You can select a whole layer with all of its frames. And yeah, you can really kind of play with that a lot. Oh, it looks like the volume wasn't turned down on. Oh, it is now. So yeah, there's a little bit of a learning curve to it, but like I said, it's the most useful of the pixel art software, and it's extremely worth the value. Being only that was like 15 or so dollars. I think I grabbed it on sale. It might be 20, but it goes on sale frequently, from what I understand. Unless they just change it to 15, I really don't know. Yep. So I'm just gonna continue what I did over. I didn't finish that over here, but I like to work, especially on like a big project like this. I like to work kind of holistically, as you can see, um, which means I like to work on everything at once a little bit. That way, if I zoom out, I can kind of get a better vision, what I'm working on. I'll remember. So on the right layer, just like in Photoshop, you gotta be on the right layer. So I'm just making these ovoid formations here along this line, and making adjustments where I fit here. Oh, that was Z. Z. I should probably map that to this side. I just haven't gotten to that yet. It's actually really easy to do. I just as easy to hit the keyboard to me, like right there. But yeah, we'll see once I get this new desk. I'm super excited because I'll be able to just like grab this and pull it up and stand or something like that. Or I don't know how easy it's gonna be, but I'll be able to sit and stand. It's gonna do wonders for my back. And so it's hard to tell how quickly I'm moving here, but I'm actually moving really fast. Like if I was using a mouse, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable moving this fast. For one, because I would be making mistakes, and for two, because my arm wouldn't feel good doing that. Like the carpal tunnel and tennis elbow, all that stuff. Like I'm getting old, you know, so I've my health issues and my joint issues are essentially mostly joint issues are kind of building up. Yeah, ergonomics is very important, but you'll never fully. I don't know if you have bad posture, it's extremely difficult to fix it. So curing it usually not enough. When I was in college, someone came and did a talk, and they had a hunchback, and they actually mentioned it during the talk, and they explained that the hunchback was from doing art and not paying attention to ergonomics. They had kind of gotten stuck in this bad posture, and they couldn't fix themselves, and it had gotten to the point where they needed to get professional help, and they still weren't able to fix their posture when they gave the speech. So that just goes to show how important it is. It will eventually take you down if you don't fix it. That's how important ergonomics is, and just having good posture and stuff like that. And it's probably gonna take me down. I already feel it trying. So I'm doing my best to try to fix it while I can. Yeah, 15. Yeah, I think that's the right price. I only Boxhead says I really only use a mouse just for small details that I don't mess up with. Yeah, it's for me it's just a point of preference. Whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you get more done with, whatever you feel like you draw better with. That's the way I feel with a mouse. When it comes to 3D software. Hey, thanks for joining Attitude. Hey, I really liked your video, man. Everyone should check out Attitude's video. It's really great. Thank you so much for playing. I'm glad you enjoyed it too. I could see your enjoyment. Here, let me zoom out so you can see what I'm working on a bit here. So I don't know, you didn't finish the game on your video, but if you had, then everyone would have saw that the ending was very incomplete, and it looked something like that when you got to the top, and the camera originally wasn't supposed to reach this point up here. um, but it does. So what I'm doing is I'm making this edition now, where it'll look more like a a tick, which is essentially where I got the idea. Um, like I don't know if you've ever seen. It's pretty disgusting, really, but if you've ever seen like a dog tick that's like sucked too much blood, it's like pretty disgusting. But that's what this thing is. It's like a big electricity energy tick. Um, yeah, a big boss creature, totally. Um, this is what I'm working on. So yeah, it like I said with this amazing t- monitor tablet, it's going much faster than the one I was using. Actually, let me go grab the other one real quick here. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So this one here, actually, I'll put it in front of this camera since it's a better camera. This one here, if you can see, is my second generation Wacom. The Intuos Pen and Touch Pro. You can see the parts are breaking off. I still have the original cable, which was super small, like almost useless small. Like I had to use another cable most recently to work in this setup, unless I've got it hooked up to my laptop. It did come with like the ability for Bluetooth, but it didn't come with the Bluetooth. You had to spend another like whatever, $30. And then this pen, which is actually a really nice pen. It's got the eraser on it, two buttons here, and the drawing thing. Which is this one doesn't actually have the eraser, um, but it's got two buttons and one works as an eraser button, so it's whatever. And it's also got the which this one only had four of. So yeah, this was a really useful upgrade for me. This Intuos was $99 or something at the time, like about $100. Um, yeah, I actually paid for it by doing like graphic design commissions when I was living in Bloomington. I'm just gonna set this over here. Bloomington in Illinois is a college town. Yeah, let's see. You did play the rest of it, and you're going to right back to your channel. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you like it. Uh, yeah, yeah. So the tablet size was a big difference. Box head for sure. Um, and yeah, the eraser it was nice, but honestly, the Wacom one it was inaccurate. It was super inaccurate. Like to the point where it would like you can see it wiggle. I don't know. Maybe you can't see it wiggle on a webcam, but it's got a wiggle. Like you can hear it. It wiggles. Um, Anyways, that little play is enough for you to move over an entire pixel unless you're zoomed in really far. So like, if you're trying to erase one pixel, it's useless. Um, this thing is the XP pen that I'm talking about. The actual stylus of it is so sensitive. If you touch it against the screen just barely, you can get it to not draw a line. But any amount of pressure and it starts drawing. It's super sensitive. Like right now I'm touching it. But yeah, any amount of pressure. Like yeah, I don't know. It's so it feels like you could just like rub on it. It feels like it's a real thing as opposed to the tablet where it was like completely abstract from like you know, it's just so much more intuitive like to just sit down and draw with. I definitely think it's the way to go. And I got mine used for $300. Like holy cow. Boxhead says I do miss to be able to have my old thick pens when I use my old tablet, but I like my new one better because it's less work to deal with. What kind of tablet do you have, Boxhead? Because yeah, I mean, they're all different. The very first one I had was clunky, but it was super sensitive, and the eraser was perfect on it. and that was like a Generation 1 Wacom. And it was a small one. It had like a roller on the top. It was very strange. And it only had two buttons and a roller. Yeah. I actually ended up giving that to a friend. I was actually letting him borrow it, but I moved away and never really went and got it back. It wasn't working on my computer for some reason. One of my drivers wasn't doing well with it or whatever, and yeah, so I was like, time to upgrade. It didn't want to work with the new computer. I don't remember what it was. I had it working with Vista, but yeah, I really don't remember. So this strange ass music we're listening to is my DJ stuff. If anyone's wondering what the heck we're listening to. Yeah, I'm gonna get a little bit bigger of a brush here and just kind of fill in some of these gaps. Because I didn't leave a whole lot of room for the paint bucket, the gradient tool, whatever it's called, fill tool. And I'm gonna zoom in because that's pretty. Yeah, some of the most useful advice that I've ever heard in art is super fundamental. Is that you should always use the brush size for the face that you're trying to work with. I'm just gonna Z that. So yeah, and that's like I said, I keep hitting the right click button. It's super fundamental advice, but it's kind of easy to overlook outside of like doing it by hand, because that's kind of where you hear that advice is like you're taking art lessons or drawing lessons, like teaching you how to draw. So I'm gonna turn on Pixel Perfect here so that because some of the lines where I'm going outside, I don't want it to be, and the Pixel Perfect takes away from the junkiness. Yeah. Anytime you're working with like angles on detailed pixel art, you're gonna want to like use that type of algorithm to help you. Otherwise, you end up having to draw like straight lines in like a whole bunch of straight lines to make it fit that natural flow of pixel art. That's not the only way to do it, but that's one way of doing it. I guess it kind of comes when you play with it long enough, it just kind of comes naturally. So yeah, this DJ music stuff. Basically, I used to just go out crate digging. Like I really miss doing it. I've been years, but just go up random record shops and buy their old 50 cent to sometimes they're like 10 cents, sometimes they're 75 cents, sometimes they're $1. Just find their old records that they're used. Some of them are scratched, some of them have the labels are ruined or the box art or whatever the album cover is ruined, and so the price goes way down. But sometimes the track that you want or the sample that you need is perfectly fine. Or it's just a weird thing. Like like personally, I'm not like a super religious person, but I've always found religion to be interesting. And I found a Mormon record that was like see-through red. It was like super cool looking, like, and it was all words. There was no music or samples in the background. It was all just this man speaking about the religion, which, like, obviously, if you're not into religion, it's like okay. And honestly, I know enough about that particular religion where I'm not interested in learning too much more. But record is so much fun to sample because I mean, I don't know, not to sound sacrilegious or something like that, but sampling about God and stuff can be fun. I don't know. Um, and it's see-through red, so or I think it was like 50 cents at Goodwill or something like that. I couldn't say no. Um, yeah, no, religion is very strange, and it's extremely interesting to learn about. If that's your cup of tea, it doesn't have to be, obviously. Um, I I grew up like kind of Methodist, I guess, but not really because my parents at first weren't very strict about it, but they changed and started becoming more strict, and I was at the age where I was like, I'm not buying into that, and eventually I started learning more about religions outside of what my parents were showing me, and it's far more interesting when you go outside of your own culture. I feel like to look at that stuff. Um, but yeah, I think some of that has to do with just like being forced or whatever. Um, yeah, I'm trying to read back. So you have the Wacom Intuos. I missed that part. The medium sized Pro, but it was too big and got. Oh yeah, I could see that being too big. Honestly, having the small one has been pretty helpful. As far as it fits with your laptop, it goes with you and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, you can't really bring it to someone else's computer without the driver, and that's kind of an issue, especially if you ever go to like a college or something like that. They usually don't let they have the everything's on lockdown as far as like what you can download. All. And I've had that issue where you don't have a laptop and you try to bring it into us to a college, unless they got one that. But that's gonna depend on college and all that stuff and location, everything. My experience with that is in game jams. Sometimes colleges will host like game jams. But this particular record, I mean, I keep jumping around in conversation here. This particular record was one that my most recent ex actually picked up. She like I had told her about my adventures crate digging, and she was interested enough to try it out when she traveled to Chicago, and apparently she enjoyed the experience because she came back with a whole bunch of just really obscure stuff, and I I find enjoyment in just like throwing on some beats that I made or some synths or something that I threw down, and then just picking a random record, putting it on a random track, and then just like listening to it a little bit, and then just start sampling with it, and just kind of go with what I hear. I don't even use headphones to cue up the tracks. I just kind of go with it. Um, and sometimes I'll stream that, but it hasn't really been turning out too good. So. Um, But yeah, I've actually got another one of those that'd be interesting to throw on. This is like some game music I made a while ago. Uh, oh, they were both next to each other. Never mind. We listen to both of them. Let me see that. I know there's another one. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. This list is too big. Anyways, this track is pretty cool. I haven't listened to it in a while. Yeah, you like thrifting and stuff like that. You say you want to go raiding old shops and stuff. You found a second-hand toy store in your town. It has a bunch of old Power Rangers, Godzilla, Star Wars, Transformers. That's really cool. I haven't even thought about that. Um, I don't know. I don't have a lot. I don't really collect a lot. The things I collect are like instruments and like hardware, software. um, yeah, so I don't have a lot of physical stuff because I used to move like every year for like a long time. Well, not yeah, I moved a lot like all the time. So yeah, but even when I was like in my own space for a while, like I didn't have that many collections. I was always been a very, very minimal person. Um, and I think that's because I had all that cool stuff when I was a kid and it got thrown away, um, one way or another. Like all of my video games, that was like the last collection to get thrown away. Like all of the cool stuff, you know, from Nintendo and Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64. Yeah, Sega. It's a pretty big collection. Just tossed. But what you gonna do? So yeah, I'm a little reluctant to collect. I think just because of that. Yeah, same here. I'm lucky to have a shop where I can hopefully get some of my own stuff back. Yeah, some of your stuff back. Like, oh, I see what you're saying. Lucky to have found a shop that you can shop from for sure. Um, Definitely. I mean, if that's what you're interested in doing is recollecting your stuff, absolutely. For me, I guess I kind of want new stuff. I don't know what it is. Um, I guess I've locked in a lot of the old stuff in my brain, especially the video game stuff. And I kind of am actively doing that by making games. I feel like because like this game is a great example of a way that my all of my influences in video games have been internalized. I mean, this bug character, for example, came from. I mean, it wasn't stolen by any means, but it was influenced by the boss from Secret of Evermore, the one of the first bosses too, and it was even on the game like label. Let me find it real quick. Yeah, so here we have Secret of Mana. This uh very big here. Make it big. Um so, so we have this bug boss guy, right? It's essentially similar, right? But not, right? It's got these arms and stuff, but it's very different in the game. If we go back a bit, um, here you can see the actual in-game footage. The claws are kind of similar, but even those have more uh what's the word, articulation than the arms in my mind just work on these swivel joints. They really don't do that much. I've actually been told that I should add more articulation to the boss, but I feel like that might just it might look better, but I feel like it won't actually make the game more fun. I might play with it later, but like I said, I think it'll look better, but I don't think it'll be more fun. But yeah, so this was and like it had like hit frames that's why it changed color like that. Oh, and then there was else what was that? I never did beat this game, and like the last world was like this was like part of the last boss. I could never beat him. I couldn't beat the last boss. Um, Such a difficult game. Anyways, um, that this game, Secret of Mana, um, the first like Final Fantasy adventure, the Seiken de Setsu or however you say it. Those are all super big influences for me. Um, Even though this game is like a action shoot 'em up game, and those other games are like RPGs and stuff like that, this is still influenced by all those other like every game that I've played. You know. But it's funny because like there's this turning point in my life, or when I was about 5 years old. I was maybe I was four. I don't know. I was in preschool, and I was pretending to be sick for like the first time in my life, and I got my parents, to believe me, and I guess it was probably because I was young, and they're like, okay, yeah, he's allowed to stay home. For whatever reason, I didn't want to go to school. I was having a terrible time at preschool. I didn't have any friends. I wasn't making friends. I didn't enjoy it there. and I had my video games at home. So I ran. My parents had this pool table, and so I ran underneath the pool table and grabbed my controller and I pretended that the pool table was a airplane, and I played 1942. I remember having this thought that like if I could just like not do what like society's telling me to do and just do this, like that would be like way better experience. And like looking back, like it's kind of profound, but at the time it just seemed like so like out there, like there's no way that I would ever be able to just like cancel school and play video games. But the fact that my parents let me that one day, I felt like maybe there was a chance that one day I would end up, you know, I don't know. I always wanted to make games, even when I was a kid. Foxhead says, I think that having a stationary boss is more like traditional, since most detailed monsters and stuff weren't really made to move except certain parts. Yeah, no, I think so too. There's definitely a traditional value to having minimal animations in a 2D pixel art game. Um, and it's really easy to find something else that did it, and you can kind of like I said, not steal but draw inspiration from things, uh, and kind of get that idea across without actually going into the full technical aspects of making a limb-based animation system or like IK solvers and all of the cool stuff that's rigging and spine animations, all the cool stuff that you can do today. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying that's if that's what you're into, definitely do it. But if you're trying to do something that's retro and pixel art, and you don't have to do all that cool stuff. I don't think anyone's gonna be mad if you do, but that's something's weird. Like where if you're just making the art and like you're not making the game, then people get uptight. But if you're making the game, no one gets uptight. It's weird. I think it's like a elitist thing. I think that I don't fall into this category because technically I haven't been doing pixel art that long, and also I'm not very active on the forums and stuff. Um, I'm kind of active on a Discord, but yeah, even in that I'm not super active as a pixel artist. I'm more of like a game developer that happens to make pixel art games and also the art. And I think the idea that kind of gets wish mishmash. Like people don't realize that I'm the artist and the developer. Sometimes I do. It's like whatever. Um, let's see. Boxhead says like you definitely could. It just doesn't really fit the style of your game. Yeah. No. I mean, I thought about it and I felt like the technical aspects of it, like the ball would just go through the arms. It already does. You know what I mean? The ball goes through the arms. I'm not in denial about that. That's what would happen in a retro style game if they tried to do it the same way I'm trying to do it. That's I don't know. I'm not too worried about it to be honest. But if I did that, I think that would happen even more. Maybe I don't know because the more hinges you get, the more it's already moving quickly up there. I'd have to slow down the shoulder movement and then speed up the arm movement. It wouldn't work with the gameplay. Yeah, people are a bit too uptight about limitations in pixel art. And I like I said, I think it's more just like the artists who have been doing it for a long time that are like, no, you have to learn all the rules and then you can get my jobs because that's what they're worried about. They're worried about you taking their jobs. Um, it happens. It's like so if pixel artists are rabid in that sense, where they're worried about losing their jobs, it's even worse in the 3D industry. Oh my gosh, it's so much worse. People are so rabid about work. They will. I've been thrown under the bus in front of the project lead um, over nothing, just because they had a relationship with the project lead where they could do that, and they did it. So they want or they had the ability, so they did. That's just how it went. And it's really terrible because in that situation, like it didn't make a difference. It was just kind of like an ego booster for that guy. But it was a terrible project to be on. So you live and you learn. Culture is going to make a huge difference of the project experience for the developer. Um, yeah, that's just um, oh, yeah. The culture is just extremely important. So if you notice that you're not jiving with the culture, then you might want to start thinking about a way to back out of the situation or something. I don't know. Maybe start asking your friends for advice at that point. Oh wow, that got loud. Because it's not loud for you, it's just loud for me. Yeah, that's a valid argument. It 100% scares off newcomers and keeps more jobs open. Yeah, no, honestly, I think that's really what it is. Because if you have someone that's like, oh, I know how to draw in a Amiga palette, and I know how to draw in NAS palette, and like, yeah, that's what's. I mean, honestly, what they're really saying is that I have Aseprite and I know how to click these buttons, and here's the palettes, right? And then they've practiced in these palettes. If they can put their money where their mouth is, then that's what they mean, is that they've practiced in each of these palettes and they know when to use them and why. Which is a lot to say. It's also very hard to believe that someone has all of that. Um, and if, as a developer, if I'm hiring someone, I'd much more appreciate honesty of saying these are the palettes that I feel most comfortable with. These are the palettes that I've never worked with, and these are the palettes that whatever. I appreciate that stuff, and I think most devs do. I think that's just kind of that goes with the territory, is that the transparency is like a big thing. But if you're new and someone comes up to you and says like, "Oh, this guy's new, he's no good," like, well, he just said he's new, or they just said they're new. So what's the hold up here? Oh well, I'm better than them. It's like, okay, so why don't you teach them, or like, let's all learn something. It's very competitive industry, and this is the indie side of things too. I mean, I haven't even made it to the AAA side. Um, I've tried, but it's just too competitive to get a foot in the door. Um, yeah, I kind of gave up trying, to be honest. It just doesn't seem worth it anymore. Seems like it's not actually what I'd want. I mean, it'd be interesting, and I don't have a family, so I could probably swing it. Um, I just don't know if I'd actually enjoy it. So this is some old stuff. This was when I first started DJing. I wasn't actually like spinning. Well, I mean, I was producing tracks, and then I would put like I'd put half of it on one disc and half of it on another disc, and I would mix it that way live. And this was like the first time I did that. But this is actually not a live recording of it. This is like the production stuff compiled. It essentially was the same thing. Like I said, I was just starting, so I was like essentially just hitting play on two devices at once, and I don't know, it's interesting. Let's see where I left off here. Boxhead says, yeah, game dev was a bit too hardcore for me, so I gave up on that and decided to go into marine biology and just have games as a hobby, or and art as a games and art as a hobby. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if there's money in marine biology, then go for it. I mean, if you're propelled by money, if you're not, then that's totally cool too. Marine biology sounds really interesting. It's to me, it's really sad that marine biology is like dying off essentially because of how we're treating the ocean. But yeah, it's going to live longer than humans are, I have a feeling. So I mean, depending on what we do to the ocean, I assume, I guess. But that's cool. I like that. And then keeping art as a hobby, like, yeah, I totally understand that, because it's painful to try to make money. It really is. it's so difficult, and then the fact that you pretty much won't make money. I mean, I feel weird saying it like that, but that's the reality of it. Is that you pretty much won't make money. I mean, there's a chance that you can make some money, uh, but it won't be because you're a great artist. It'll be because you're a great salesperson. That's just kind of art. It's some people are good at that, and there is an art to being a good salesperson, and it's really all about not coming off as like a salesman type person. You know, I think that's really what it is. Yeah, it's really hard unless you have a dedicated fan base, or will just draw whatever without question. Boxhead says, I agree. That's having a fan base makes it that much easier. I imagine. I wouldn't know because I've been doing this for well over 20 years now, and I don't have a fan base. You know, or I've been making art essentially. I've been trying to grow a community around my art. And don't get me wrong, some of the people have been there since the beginning. Mostly they're IRL friends, you know, that I went to high school with and stuff like that. But the beginning was a long, long time ago, so I can't expect people to have been there. And that's fine. I made a lot of mistakes. You know, I did a lot of psychedelic art and stuff like that. And, like, yeah, I mean, that's still part of who I am, but it's not like, it's not what people thought. You know, people thought I was like a druggie and stuff like that in high school, and that wasn't the case, you know. That's just kind of how I got lumped in because of, like, the music that I was listening to or the people I was hanging out with and stuff like that. So, like, yeah, I mean, you have to evolve. You have to continue to change. And this community that I've been growing it's not so much a community as like we're friends, you know what I mean? Like most of us, like if we're not friends, we're becoming friends, and that's the way I really look at it because retro spaceball isn't going to be my passion forever. Don't get me wrong, I'm always going to have some passion for it. But I'm going to move on to another game, and I'm going to hope that my friends come with me. I hope that they're not just friends with retro spaceball. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I mean, so that's the point here. So when I was doing a lot more graphic design, I made friends that did a lot more graphics, and I made a lot of graphics for artists, musical artists and stuff like that. So I made a lot of musical artist friends, and yeah, I'm still friends with them, and maybe they're not as useful to me all the time because I'm like in games now, and game music isn't as useful, but you know, they're friends, you know, so I can ask them for advice on non-game stuff, or sometimes I can get them to play my games. It's usually difficult. I find that a lot of times your friends or networks that are really into one thing, they might have trouble following you at everything you do, and you can't blame them there. They were passionate about the one thing that they saw when they joined your community, so you can't expect them to test every game you come out with if they just like the one game. But the fact that they're there, I mean, that's great. So, and that's kind of the way my Facebook is right now. It looks like only two people liked this live stream on Facebook, but that's fine. You know, everything's so political on Facebook right now. Yeah, it's kind of hard to move fans from one thing to another. I agree. It's totally hard. It's you're probably better off. Like, don't. I'm not saying don't try it. Definitely come up with some type of some plan to do that, to merge your fan bases across platforms. But I think it's uh, on top of that, you're gonna want to start from the ground level on each platform as well, and treat those as individuals. Because yeah, trying to get everyone to one spot is, don't get me wrong, that's kind of the main goal, but it's really difficult. Right now for me, Discord seems to be the easiest way to do that, but honestly, I haven't really like prompted my Discord community at all. And Box said you would know, like, I don't I don't think I've ever pinged everyone yet. I mean, I probably will, right? But I don't think it's necessary to ping everyone. Um, and so like I say like, yeah, I need everyone's support for this or something like that. Maybe when I start the Kickstarter, definitely when I put my game on Steam, I'm gonna add everyone. Sorry, that's what it's there for. But I'm not there to annoy you every day with saying, hey, look at my update. You know, like if you want to check it out, it's there. You know that it's gonna be there, and if you forget, that's fine. You can come back 2 weeks from now and check out everything you missed. You know, that's what's great about Discord. Twitter is a little bit different. You know, if you don't go on Twitter for 2 weeks, you missed all of that stuff. You don't. You can like scroll through their uh, their tweets, but you're probably not even gonna find what you were looking for, and you know you're not gonna get all the so and such liked this or so and such commented on this. You're not gonna get that part of your feed if you weren't online. Um, so yeah, every platform's got its own differences and stuff. I'm actually planning a tutorial on Discord, which will be nice to get out. But honestly, I'm a little worried because I don't have that many people in my Discord. But that's not really the point of what I'm trying to make. I mean, what I'm trying to make isn't like a big number. I'm trying to make like a quality community, people that can talk to each other and be respectful to one another at all times, and that kind of thing. That's my goal. I mean, yeah, making games and selling games type of stuff. That's part of it too. Don't get me wrong. I want to make a living out of this, but I want everyone else to too. I've realized that most of the people who play my game are developers, so I might as well lean into that, um, and try to promote that. And people tell me straight up that I'm inspiring to them, and that to me is like, holy cow. I mean, of course I'm gonna try my best to continue that. Um, you're not really a dev, you just find my stuff fun. Hey, that's even cooler, because then I get the best feedback from people who aren't actively making games, Um, and you have an artistic sense, so you can see where the aesthetics need work, and that's really good feedback too. I totally appreciate you being part of the community. So with the marine biology stuff, Boxhead, is that something that you're studying in college then, or something that you're just passionate about? Something you plan to study later? Okay, so it's Boxhead says it's something they're just passionate about. Took a year before he got kicked out of school for a bit and really enjoyed it. I'm hoping to get back into it properly soon. Yeah, that's really cool. Um, I imagine orcas are a part of this, judging by your username, which is cool. I remember Free Willy was a big thing when I was a kid. I owned the copy of the VHS and watched it quite frequently. I was probably inspired as a graffiti artist in a way. I feel like too. uh, when I was a kid, I traveled to SeaWorld. That was and Marineland. Both of those were, I would say, influential experiences in my life. Um, when I was older, I swam with some nurse sharks or something. That was kind of cool. Um, when I was a little kid, at one of those zoos, marine zoos or whatever, it was like stingray pool, and I guess I almost fell in or something like that. You know, I was trying to pet the big one. uh, but yeah. Uh, have you played Subnautica, Boxhead? Oh, you haven't played, but wow. Yeah, definitely. I would. I mean, if you're, I mean, there's no orcas in it, but if you're into marine biology, definitely check it out. It probably goes on sale or something every once in a while. It's been out for a while now. I haven't played the second one. The second one's like an Arctic one, so maybe that would have more of your, because orcas are more Arctic. Um, but I don't know. It's like Alien, so it's all alien stuff. You play Sea of Thieves sometimes, because you really like the Meg design. Is that the Meg like the Megalodon? Is there a Megalodon in Sea of Thieves? Oh wow, I didn't realize that. Is Sea of Thieves is like the pirate game, right? Like a pirate simulator? Yeah. Wow. So now a megalodon isn't that? Oh, wrong button there. Isn't the megalodon a prehistoric creature? So are they like jumping around on the timeline, or is there some interesting story, or is it just like a Cretaceous period that's or it's a creature that's still around from the Cretaceous period or something like the coelacanth? I guess you would be the person to ask. Also, uh, Animal Crossing has a lot of rare sea fish that like the oarfish. I thought that was pretty interesting. I'd never seen that fish before. It's just hard. I don't know what I'm reading. It's just there to be cool because there is sharks which pester the player if they stay in the water too long. So the Meg is just a greater threat. Hey, cool. So as a designer, I see that as like a an overwhelming force that works as a boundary. Um, Super useful tool. Actually, Subnautica does the same thing with if you get to the edge of their map, you can keep going, but you will get killed by a huge thing. They get more and more aggressive the further you get out, and bigger, and it's crazier. They're like Leviathan creatures. Um, and it's funny because Subnautica is actually like a kid-friendly game. Um, but it's scary. It's like it could like cause anxiety, I think, if you're not careful. Like it could very well be a terrifying horror game, but it's a kids game too. Like it's very strange game. Yeah, I'm not sure when it will go on sale next. There's like a site that I use called isthereanydeal.com, I think. And if I really want like a AAA game or like a triple I game, uh, that's when I'll hold out for a sale. And they give you an email. It'll be like a number of different sites, and it tells you what the lowest it ever was and how often it gets that low and that kind of stuff. So you kind of know what kind of deal you're getting. Is there any deal.com? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Um, and I think that's actually how I grabbed Subnautica. Um, yeah, so the thing with the isthereanydeal.com, sometimes it'll be like a DRM free version or something like that, and it won't link up with your Steam or something like that. So sometimes if that's important, you want to make sure that you're grabbing the right thing for you. For me, I don't really care about a lot of that stuff, but I think mine was a Steam key, which I just put into Steam, and then it lets you download from there. Um, but yeah, I don't know what the original price is, but 30% off. That sounds reasonable. Yeah, Humble's great. I definitely excuse me, the last purchase I made was from Humble, and it was all Steam keys, and it was really easy to import and find what I needed, and just really great solution. Definitely better than the way Itch does it, but I really like Itch because of how sweet they are for indies. Um, you got Aegis Defender for free because of it. Hey, cool. I'm not super familiar with that. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Oh yeah, I haven't seen this. Oh, it's on Switch too. Platformer Tower Defense. Super interesting. I mean, the artwork is awesome. Like just amazing artwork. The animations and stuff, they all look sweet. As far as the gameplay goes, I don't know if it would be my cup of tea. I probably more so than like a typical platformer. And co-op, like that'd be really fun if I had people to play with. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'll grab it. I guess it depends if it's still on sale. It's a little bit boring at times. Hmm. Yeah, I feel like the tower defense aspect of it kind of throws me off a little bit. I'm not a big tower defense person. But yeah, the art is just amazing. Oh, and it looks like Humble is their publisher too. So that's kind of cool. Um, I've actually been looking more into Humble as a publisher, and they're not a bad option. Um, I guess they don't take as much of a percentage as a lot of people, from what I'm hearing. But I don't know. I haven't done my own research on that yet. So yeah, I'm not even sure what I'm drawing anymore here. Just like some blobs and stuff. I think I want it to look like it's kind of like come apart and stuff. Um, I think I need to go darker on the inside and probably more green. Like I like that purple for like highlights and stuff, but I'm gonna try something else here. Okay, so I'm just gonna like draw a line and then fill in the rest. And I'm gonna try to like make some shading here. Aegis is fun. It's got a good story, great art, and it's reply based, which can be annoying at times, having to guess which one gives you the most points so you can get better upgrades. It definitely gets really annoying during the tower defense parts. Yeah, that honestly, like, it sounds like you're doing a good job describing it. It just doesn't sound like a description that I'm looking for in a game. But yeah, man, I really don't like what I've just drawn there. Um, yeah, it it looks like it'd be fun to play with. I don't know. Like, I really like stuff like that on the Switch, but then it's like it's more expensive on the Switch, and then the crossplay is not always there, and then trying to get someone else to play with you, a lot of times you need to like get them to purchase it on the Switch too, which is kind of asking a lot. Um, I'm really looking forward to like progressions in handheld PCs. I think that that's going to be really cool. That Alienware UFO, I am super excited for that. Um, because I I like the Switch. I just don't like what Nintendo's doing with their business plan. Um, like, you know, because let's face it, Steam has all the players. It'd be way cooler if we could spread them evenly amongst like other um, you know, platforms, you know. Like Steam would never go for it, but it would be cool if they did, you know, like have Steam and Epic Store work together so all of your achievements are on the same platform, all of your friends lists are all integrated to one. Do the same thing with Itch, do the same thing with Game Jolt, have them all on one, have like an Oasis type thing. You know, put it in VR, like make everyone connected, cross platform, cross console. Um, it's just not there yet. I see a bright future for that type of stuff, but they're just not there yet. So it's a little bit disappointing for me to be able to have that vision of what how great it could be, and then seeing essentially you need a publisher to get your game on Switch. That kind of sucks. If you're self-publishing and you've never done it before, you're not going to get on Switch. Um, Unless you're pulling a huge community behind you. You got them emailing Nintendo saying you gotta put this game on there. Maybe something like that. Boxhead says there's barely any cross-platform stuff. Sadly, there could be a lot more, but it just limits and player base. But it's just limits and player base. Yeah, no. Some of it's good. Some of it's good. Typically esports, they need it to be good. If they don't have it on esports, then they kind of lose what they have. It's really easy to make it or break it with esport. And if you don't have that mindset going into an esport, then you're probably gonna break it. It's just a very fragile thing. Um, Actually, any MMO is extremely fragile. Um, I was just I was just watching a talk last night. I think it was Daniel Cook or David Cook or something like that was talking about how this one particular project, and it wasn't his project, it was someone else's project, um, wasn't able to scale fast enough, and it flopped their game. The game, I guess I don't know the game's design, but the game's design was reliant on new players coming in consistently, um, at least till it got to a certain size, and it couldn't get to that size, and then the new players started dropping off, and then the concurrent players started dropping off, and then before long they didn't have a game, and I guess they lost like hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, because the community just left. It wasn't getting the nutrients it deserves. So yeah, um, communities are fragile. It's not something to take lightly, especially like I said, especially with MMO, because without the community, you got nothing. Like with Retro Spaceball, I could find some randoms on the internet and be like, "Hey, check out my game," and now I have a player base, um, just because I've gone out and said, "Hey, do that." But if it was an MMO and I need all these people to be online at the same time, I'd have to be like, "Hey guys, come join this forum where we're going to talk about what's a good time to play, and then talk about it while we're and that's essentially what the Discord does. And maybe that's why my Discord's not that active, is because you don't actually need it to play the game. Um, but yeah, I think there's a lot of weird things going on with the internet and games. some of it's really interesting. Some of it's just a little weird. Like the whole streaming games thing that's like trying to take off and doesn't. Um, that's interesting. I keep watching more and more videos of the old 90s versions of that, and it's really cool, you know, because you think like, oh, the Netflix of games, it'll be the future. It's like, well, isn't that like the past, like from like the 90s, like because there was like Sega had well, there was X Band first of all, right? And that was, I think that was Sega and Super Nintendo, and that was pretty cool, right? You could play. I mean, it was expensive as hell, and a lot of people complained about the phone bills and stuff. But essentially, it was matchmaking online, doing the same thing that Parsec does right now, or the same thing that was it Steam Direct or whatever is, and I think the Nintendo Network even has something similar for that on their classic games. So yeah, that technology has always been around. It's just a lot cheaper now that we're not using ground lines. Um, what else was there? There was the satellite view for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the satellite thing, saddle view. I don't even know what it was called. It was a you needed a dish set up, and your dish would connect to your Super Nintendo, and you could download games and play them. And it was, you had to play them during a certain time period. It was very like TV channel based. Um, there's tons of YouTube videos on that. Super interesting. And then the once that was discontinued in like 1999 or something like that, um, the Nintendo 64 actually had a similar satellite service for like a few months using the disk drive that attached underneath the Nintendo 64. It was like you like stack these things. And it never took off, and it got discontinued in Japan before it actually hit America. So, um, yeah, that's why we don't know about it here. But yeah, the Nintendo 64 had an online service. Um, what else was? Then the Dreamcast had a dial-up, and then eventually I think it had an Ethernet that you could do. You know, and by then, like, now we're just talking about playing games online, like FPSs, right? Because PS2 was right there. I mean, you had to buy the extra Ethernet connection, but then the Slim one had it built in, and that's when I started playing games online. I guess I never really got much of a start because of that. A lot of it, you know, it would be like games that you could get away with having like a really slow ping rate and still play. And no one, they couldn't boot you or something like that. Killzone was the big one that I played because it was mostly it was a really old game at the time. Um, so yeah, like, and Boxhead says it's always funny seeing what old consoles had. Yeah, I honestly I love that stuff. I kind of live for that stuff on YouTube these days. I look at like I watch LGR all the time. I don't know if you ever seen that. It's a great like this guy is like really into retro stuff, you know. Uh, yeah. I think this is gonna look better. It's like a green, but it presents itself as like a black against the purple. It's so inconvenient from what we have now, but back then it was really impressive. Yeah, I mean, if you were rich back then, some of that stuff is like, some of that stuff would have been great. You know what I mean? Like to play Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat right when it came out, essentially, online. That's, I guess some of it wasn't. It was like what, Mortal Kombat 3 or something like that. I mean, you know, Virtual Boy, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I never got to play Virtual Boy. I remember I wanted it, but I heard all the reviews about it making people sick, and they discontinued it so quickly. That, yeah, I did not get to check it out. Um, I don't know. Could have been for the better. I hear that some of the they're having trouble even with some of the newer VR stuff about like eye muscle damage and stuff like that. Some people are getting eye twitching and stuff like that from extended use of VR and things of that nature. Um, and it was like way worse back then. Yeah, it is. It is quite a bit safer now, and I don't blame you for waiting. There's like I'm not prone to motion sickness, but I can feel myself becoming more prone to motion sickness as I get older. Um, and yeah, the VR definitely I've developing for it. You feel it because if you make mistakes and stuff when you're testing it, that's when you realize like, okay, I need to slow this down or speed that up or etc. Because it's really like for instance, one of these servers that I'm in, this guy was like, "Hey, test my game," and I was like, "Sure." It was a gargoyle game, and I'm like, first person climbing this tower, super cool. Looking around, oh, it's scary down there. Climbing up, and you get to the top, and you're supposed to be able to like fly off and like glide, but he hadn't developed that part of the game yet, so all you could do is jump off. And I was like, okay, that sounds fun. I'm gonna try it. So I walked off the ledge, and sure enough, I felt sick. Like, because I in the game I fell down, but in real life I was not falling, and that made me feel sick. I guess if you like point a fan at your face, like that's supposed to help, because it makes your body think that you're moving. Um, there's all types of things that they do. There's what the teleport, where they sometimes they'll have you blink, like your eyes will just blink, and then when they open, you're like on the other where you were teleporting to, um, or it'll start moving slowly as it blinks and like finish moving as it unblinks and stuff. So you get that feeling of movement, but you don't get that sensation that you should be moving when you're not, because that disconnect is what makes you feel sick. Um, and then with the eye twitching thing, they're not really sure exactly how to combat that or what's causing that. So it'll be interesting to see where that moves to. Personally, I haven't had any big issues with it, but I never use it for more than I never use it for more than 40 minutes at a time. Um, I'd say the longest I've done it was maybe a couple hours, and it was it was because I was working in VR. Like I was making models and stuff. I was actually streaming it, um, but like I was definitely like on the couch for most of it, and I wasn't like actively playing a game. I was definitely more just like chilling in VR, which I feel like makes a little bit of difference as far as eye strain and fatigue and stuff. Like it would be fun to own one now, but I'm just not ready to risk it. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a little bit of an expense to jump into. The one that I got was like $200, so and it's old now. I wouldn't even recommend getting it now because it's just too old. And they probably haven't dropped the price. Um, but yeah, once it's ready or once you're ready, it'll be cheap and it'll be easy to jump into. So I don't blame you. It is fun to play with, especially as a dev. If I wasn't a dev, I probably wouldn't have bought. I wouldn't have purchased one. Also, I had or I still have rather a Gear VR, which is like the Samsung phone VR thing, where you like stick your phone in the goggles. And it got really bad reviews and stuff, or I guess it just didn't take off, or I don't know. Maybe some people would defend it, but most VR people think that it kind of ruined the uh, the market a little bit for VR. I guess people think that People think that it kind of turned people off. Yeah, so the thing with that one is that it's what they call the 3 degrees of freedom rather than the 4 degrees of freedom, which the is it no 6 degrees of freedom. I'm sorry, 3 versus 6. So the 6 degrees of freedom is when you can actually move around the room and stuff like that, where it's like a room scale experience. Um, where the 3 degrees is if you move your head around, it doesn't actually move in the game. But if you look left to right, it looks left to right. So if you're sitting in a chair and you move the chair, it works fine. But if you get up and walk around, you're not going to be walking around in the game. Um, and they're phasing that out. The plan is to have it completely phased out by 2020. But there still will be like a open developer channel where developers can make that type of game if they feel like it, um, which is like a good thing, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how they implement it. You can never tell with what was it, Microsoft, whoever these people are, these big ass companies that are doing the VR stuff. Microsoft, Facebook. I forget the other ones. I don't know. Yeah, Oxhead says ideally I would be stationary in a VR game because moving is a lot of effort with all the cords and stuff. Yeah, I agree there. The cords need to go, and they're on their way out. The newest one, I think, is the Oculus Quest is the newest one that's come out, and it it's untethered is what they say. It has no cord, um, but it's all in one unit, so you're limited by its processing power and all that stuff. And luckily, Oculus is like they've been in the game long enough and they have enough money behind it where they, I guess, the store is like perfectly formatted for the Quest and everything's like tested, so that way if you buy something on the Quest store, it's going to work on the Quest, um, which is obviously important. But they're kind of trying to take the market by storm and trying to like convert everyone to their product, which I don't know, we'll see how that goes. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I have a Windows mixed reality, um, which I'm not a big fan of Microsoft by any means. Um, they're just kind of there, and it was affordable. That was my big selling point, was that it was affordable. Um, the Rift is cool. The Vive, right? Or I'm sorry, the Vive is cool. Um, the Rift is cool. I actually didn't play with the Rift. Yeah, I don't know. It's fun. I'm not gonna lie. I've had a lot of fun with it. Um, I haven't like made any money. Oh, that's not the right color. I haven't made any money off of it. Obviously, I haven't made anything like, I don't know. I worked on a project called Dodge People. That was pretty cool. I don't know if I've shown that video. Let me find it on YouTube here. Oh, there it is. Let me pull it up here. So this is Dodge People VR. Let me turn off the. I'll restart it in a second. Yeah, so this is Dodge People. This was a game jam with actually quite a large team. Um, I did the level, so like the textures on the floor and the walls and the ceiling, the scoreboard. I did the voice acting. Um, I helped with the game design a little bit, but it was a pretty big team. Oh, I did, yeah, I did the audio, but I did not actually make the music. That's my melodica, but someone else in the project was better at it than me, so I was like, well, you should just play it. Um, and it was a rendition of "It's Raining Men," which we all thought was pretty funny. Yeah, so that was my awesome VR experience. You know, we did win an award on that. Um, the was it like best technical achievement award from this small tech school in Tempe near Phoenix, and yes, actually, one of the people who were judging it actually worked for Sony at one point and was doing QA on the Sony VR, I believe, or he was doing some type of work on the Sony VR, and he actually said that he was impressed with how quickly we were able to do it, and said that if it was with the Sony VR, like, you know, it wouldn't even been capable probably. Like, I don't know. He made it sound like he was very impressed with what we were able to do, because of how much trouble he had working with Sony on their VR projects. So it was kind of cool. But I mean, as a someone who just does art and thinks games are interesting, game jams are like perfect for that, because when you get a bunch of people together, um, there's like a little bit of pressure, but it's not insane. They basically anyone's looking for any art, you know, because a lot of these people, they can't do the art, they just code, or maybe they can code and do a little bit of the music, or maybe they can do a little bit of the art, but you know, stuff like that. Um, the more hands, the better, and then you get to network with people, and it's, you know, it's always fun to network. What am I doing? Yeah. And they're not always successful like that, you know. Um, that was my third game jam, and one of them had already been unsuccessful at that point. And then I did another game jam after that that was also unsuccessful. Um, so I guess what I'm saying is that success within game jams is a shot in the dark. I mean, yeah, being good is gonna help. Having a good team is gonna help, but even if you have a good team, there's a chance that team won't get along. People could drop out. Heck, real life stuff could happen, and you might not be able to finish on time just because. Um, you'd be surprised how often that kind of stuff happens. I mean, this is a what I was talking about was like a 48-hour game jam, or the first one I did was 72 hours. Um, 72 was quite a bit more relaxed, I feel like, but yeah, it's really hard to scope, because if you don't like scope it as being, what is going on here? Oh no, I'm clicking the wrong button. If you don't scope it as being like a 48-hour game jam, and you're like, oh, we got a whole nother, you know, 24 hours, like, that's not a good way to go about it. Come on now. It can be stressful. I'm not gonna lie. That first one that I did was extremely stressful. This one was actually a different game. Let me pull this one up too. It's called Light Switch Crusader. So, Light Switch Crusader, you're a homeless person, and you break into homes to turn off the lights that they left on. Um, yeah, I'm gonna turn off. Yeah, so Light Switch Crusader, super fun, but oh man, it was stressful. We started with 5 people, and by the end of it, there's only 3 of us, and one of them was just a music guy, and he spent the 3 days working on just the audio in the game. Like the background music here, I actually made that myself, because he only worked on one track the whole time, which we'll play one second. So I don't know how well you can hear it. You could probably turn it up a little bit, so that way you can actually hear it. Now I gotta click back on it. Yeah, so he made great audio. It turned out great, but yeah, it took him 3 days to make. So the rest of it, I did all of the art, almost all of the animations. We ended up getting a couple from what is that site? I can't remember right now. We downloaded a couple of the animations, the walk animation and the sneak animation. We downloaded, just because it was easier, and then I could spend my time animating the cat, which, like, there's one locked in this room there, which you can tell this is actually the second iteration of the cat animation, and this looks really bad too. But the first one was even worse. I just did, when you're in a game jam, it's really hard to spend that amount of time, all of this, like the people in the beds, the people there, they're primitives, like everything. Like I used the cloth modifier on the blankets, but like, yeah, like everything else is very much primitives. They're just modified a little bit. But I had to do all of the art while someone else programmed it all. I did the sound effects. I did the voice acting.
You're wasting electricity. It's locked.
This is actually the second iteration. Like I said, I added a second level like a year or so after the game jam. But we had already decided that we weren't gonna be able to purchase the game.
To be more environmentally conscious.
So yeah, the cats chase you if you get too close. And if you like, yeah, if that meter gets to the top, or if the cat touches you, then
this will save on the power bill. It's locked.
Yeah. So I had a lot of fun, but honestly, like, there's this vein in my eyelid that like after this experience has not gone away. It wasn't there before the experience, and it's been there after. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you do too many game jams, it will start to show. Or I guess you have to really learn how to manage stress. That's a huge part of it. Yeah, but it's fun. And if you're not like, a programmer, or I don't know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you're not as invested in the project, then you don't have to be that stressed out about it. Like that guy who was making the music, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, he was working hard, but there was a day where he was at the beach during that game jam where he's like, yeah, I'm at the beach, I thought I'd come down here for inspiration, and we're just like working hard. We've been working hard all night long. We're like, yeah, that's cool, have fun. Like, honestly, we didn't want to hear it, but we didn't want to be mad, and we didn't want to be negative. We were just like, yep, cool. Enjoy, and that's fine, he deserved to chill at the beach. It was, me and this other dude, we put it upon ourselves to, try to spread ourselves that thin and cover that huge amount of work, that huge body of work just on our own accord. Like, that's insane. That was us. That was our doing. And so I definitely had like a second version of this where I had divided it on layers. I'm a little disappointed that I lost that, but it'll be easy to fix. Trying to make it. Yeah, oh, here I am using a mouse. mouse when I was I literally got the stylus in my hand. Please don't. It's nice to be interchangeable with that though. But the audio is super loud now. There we go. Sorry about that. Probably couldn't hear a word I said. It wasn't important though, so it's like, am I doing this right? Yeah, okay. I don't know how this is gonna look. Eh. I think that's a better spot. I don't know how I feel about these volumes. Oh, wrong button. Yeah, I'm just kind of experimenting here because I'm not exactly sure how this is gonna look, but I don't know. Part of the like issue that I'm trying to sort out is that it's just so big. I just haven't experimented with this many, or very many pixel art projects that are this big, so don't really know how it's going to turn out. Basically, the distance between zigzags is going to affect like how it looks, you know. So, like the scale is going to be different. If that makes sense, probably. Probably explaining it really poorly. Okay, so that's really green, really green. I want it to be less green. Back a little bit less green. Yeah, something like that. I think that's so that, yeah. This little add foreground color to the palette, that's super useful. You click on it and now it's there. You could like select this and delete it, move them around if you need to. There's a button. I don't know. Yep. Very useful. Oh, you can save it too, obviously. Okay, so that looks okay. Really not a lot of color variation though. I don't like it. I think this purple's screwing everything up. I don't know. I'm gonna do it real quick on the other side, and then I'll decide. So that's not. Yeah, you know, I kind of like that. I just feel like the purple needs to change. The purple's just too bright, which is fine. Probably want to divide up the layers again before I go further. But yeah, I'm gonna take a quick break here. We're about almost 2 hours into the stream, so yeah, I don't know, maybe like 5, 6, 7 minute break or something like that. Probably gonna eat something real quick and just hop right back in. So yeah, be right back. Yeah, hour and 57 minutes since I started. But yeah, I'm going to use the bathroom, eat some food real quick, and then I will be back. So if you're here or not, I mean that's cool. If you got other stuff to do, I don't expect you to be here all the time. Thanks for joining. I definitely appreciate that. But yeah, I'm going to take a quick break. Hey everybody, I'm back. Hey, and Jeremy Olovich, if you're still watching, I know it was 8 minutes ago. Thanks for the comment. Hello, I am back. I did make some food, so if I eat in front of you, I'm sorry. It's a salad. It's healthy. There's some meat in it, but healthy. Gotta eat, right? But yeah, Jeremy, thanks for the compliment. I'm glad that you think it looks cool. Um, yeah. Probably just gonna chill and eat for a bit. As much as I want to draw and eat at the same time, it's kind of difficult to do. So Backset, how you been? How's life treating you? Tired? Yeah. I know what that's like. Today I actually got more sleep than usual. Probably pretty boring stream watching me eat here. So I've got my Trello. Just keep adding to this, you know. And this current sprint list really doesn't mean all that much to me, I guess. It does, but it doesn't. Like, I gotta do the stuff on there, but I'm reluctant to because I guess I'm neglectful. I'll get to it eventually. I know I will. I think I will. The Zone 7 bricks, I can fix that. I can fix that right now. In fact, I should just fix that right now. Right? Zone 7 bricks are on top of the walls. I can fix that. No problem. I can do that while I eat. This salad's really good. So first I gotta figure out, after it loads, what level Zone 7 is. It's a good, oh. It's a good idea to name your levels, like, intelligently, unlike myself, where some of them are named intelligently and other ones are not. So essentially I gotta go by this number, and yeah, luckily this first level is a 0, so that way Level 1 is actually level 1. Level 2 is level 2. Level 7. Level 7. Scene 1 OG. This code for the first level that I ever made. Where the hell did it go? Scene 1 OG? And there, that's the issue I was talking about. So these just need to move back. How's it? Fixed. Back to the Trello. Move this guy over. Some of these are short, some of them are not. I don't want to hear that again. This velocity limit. I've been thinking about that. Haven't done it yet. I think there's an easy way to do it. So this one, redesign social links, add type form. So type form is like a website. So I have a podcast, and I made the application form on this website. Pretty easy. You just go through and put in what you need, right? So I decided I'd do the same thing for Retro Spaceball, but I'm not really happy with it yet. Like this image could be better. Like this document. Like I don't know if it's a good idea to ask what the rating would be. I feel like it wouldn't be accurate information anyways. Finding out about the newsletter could be useful. Could be more useful. Could say like, what would you like to get out of the useful or the newsletter? Oh, you're not used to seeing it in 3D. Yeah, it took me a while to figure out what you were trying to say there. But yeah, the game looks different in 3D. A little bit. Mostly it's just to make sure that the player or the ball moves in front or behind what it's supposed to. But as you can see, things get a little glitchy when their layers are close. But that's only in the scene view. The game view, it gets flattened because of the orthographic camera. Wonder what would happen if I made the camera perspective. Probably lose everything. Completely ruin everything. Huh. That's a trip. That's so trippy. And thankfully, it's back to normal. Kind of doing some weird chuggy thing in its movement, though. It doesn't do that with the game controller. Where'd the game controller go? Sorry. Yeah, it doesn't do that in the game. It is chugging a little bit, huh? Well, that would only be like the 700th time that I've played with the controls, so it shouldn't be a big surprise there if I play with them again. So I just made this list. It's basically it's like a buffer zone, so I can buffer what I'm actually going to put into the current sprint. I don't know how well it's gonna work. I'm shaking my head because it probably won't. But I need to know what, like, this is so big that I'm starting to like make piles. And some things need to be more visible in these piles. Like, some of the stuff isn't that important. Like, a new thank you gift. Like, I don't really need that. I mean, I do, but not as much as I need to put a explanation pause menu. The pause menu is gonna get a lot of work. Some of this stuff just needs testing. Like, the ball did not properly explode on level 10. Maybe it happens every so often. Maybe it's not level dependent. Whatever it is, it doesn't happen often enough for me to figure it out. This whole list is all sound stuff. It was real fun. Just haven't found the time for it, I guess. I don't know. Almost done with my salad here. Back to drawing soon. This is a different game. One of my own. Um, not as far along. Okay, have fun. Thanks for joining the stream. Really appreciate it. Sorry it was boring at the end. And I'm fully back. Sorry about that. Alright. Leave bolt. Alright. So, what I've got here is like a whole bunch of crap on one layer, which you're used to Photoshop. No, big no. Luckily, there is an easy way to fix that. We've got the lasso tool. Shortcut is Q. And what we're going to do is we're just going to draw a chunk, cut it out, put it on a new layer. Should be easy. What's going to make it difficult is that it's huge. So what I've done is I've positioned it all on the screen. I can kind of see where the cutoff is, somewhere around here. Can be positive here. So yeah, right around there. That little dot there. Yeah. So I'm going to start cutting it. Because I want this purple layer here, I want this stuff to all be on one layer. So I'm just gonna, oh, that's not huge. Alright, so I'm just these numbers. And then here, I'm not gonna get too. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see what happens. So I'm gonna cut it out. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm gonna paste it. I don't know why my audio keeps cutting out. It's a DLC thing. Oh, you know what it is? It's looking on different external hard. Oh wait, where? Because it has a playlist. It's, oh, I know that. It's there and I say, oh, I don't know that. At least that's my assumption. Alright, so same thing on the other side here. This is obviously the line. There's somewhere over there. So yeah, I'll just... Alright. So I'm starting real high here, but doesn't really make a difference. Alright, so okay, grabbed way more than I need to here. But this is way easier with a tablet than I grabbed too much. Alright, so here we've got the minus button. Useful. Don't want to. There we go. Cut. I'm on the wrong layer. Okay. Put that on the right layer. Cut. Just gonna put it on the same layer as the other one. It's on the other side, so it shouldn't make a difference. It'll kind of minimize the amount of layers that I have here. Can be cumbersome to have that many layers. But yeah. Alright. So I guess the next step would be to like to fill this area in so it doesn't look so bad. I mean, not that it looks bad, they're perfectly lined up, but I'm going to erase the edges. So yeah, I guess that makes more sense to do first, right? Clean this up. So here, you can hit the E button, or I guess there's the eraser mode, but you can use the E button to make, yeah, I guess 3 pixels. I want to make sure I'm on the layer that I want to erase from. What's going on here? What? Well, let me draw anything. Oh, I bet something's selected. Yep, there it is. Just like in Photoshop. Alright, so here I'm drawing. I want to be erasing. And now it's erasing. So essentially I'm going to leave like a small halo just so I don't take away from the edge that I've created because I like the edge. And then what I can do with that halo is draw over it with this very dark color that's down here. Because that's missing from the edge. So I can use the existing edge to create the future. You can see where the eraser is no longer working. That's where the selection is cut off. So there is a way to create a color that is transparent and use the G. I might as well do that. Okay. So I'm just going to, it doesn't really matter what color it is. Drag this all the way there, put it in there, you have a transparent color. Now you can use the G tool, the fill tool, to fill clear pixels. Here, but it works. Just it's the same thing as you. All right. All right. Like I said, it's gonna get that edge, but now there's that problem. So I can go in and fix that on the other layer. Eyedropper and then my brush. I'm gonna go for 5 pixel brush. Just gonna real carelessly fill this in because it's on a different layer, so it doesn't matter. Of course, now I'm starting to find that edge, but that's okay. This. So this is going to go behind everything. This is going to go in front. Probably gonna actually that with. So yeah. There's like this stuff is on some layer somewhere. So this new this new layer here. I'm just gonna call it mid top. Or actually mid rear top, just to make it even more confusing. You know, I should really camel case that. Mid rear top. Burn it. There we go. Okay, so now that layer's named. So this is what the ball is going to go behind, and then So I'm going to have to keep trimming on that. I'm gonna put the eyes above everything because they're like they go on top, right? And this one's actually gonna go in front. So yeah, and then I'm just gonna merge these now. Or should I have done that? I don't know, but this one needs to be merged with that one. Wait, why is that not the right one? That's not what this one. These two need to be merged. And then these ones might as well be merged, right? Now this one has to go there. Okay. That's making more sense. Oh. Alright, I think I got carried away there. Alright, that was fun. Oops. Eventually I'll get a new chair, one that doesn't squeak as loud. Until then I'll just have to try not to move something. Hey, Sharkelson. Hey, what's up, Sharkelson? How you doing? I'm working on this boss here. Zoom out. Show you some of the layers here. Just working on this guy. That's what I've been up to. What's that there? Oh, Shane, that's right. Sharkelson. That's yeah. How you doing, man? How's Fortnite treating you? I was like, Sharkelson. Where is that sound? Why does that sound familiar? Something about chummy waters, right? Yeah, I just bought it actually last week. One of my networks actually from Retro Baseball. Um, actually, I think I met him on Facebook actually. He was like, "Hey, I'm selling this." I was like, "I'm looking for one of those." He was like, "I'll give you a good price." I was like, "All right." It was only like $300. So yeah, definitely lots of fun, and it's making this huge piece. Like, cause look how this is how it's about this big on screen or so. Oh, about this big on screen. Where's yeah, 100? This is how big, 100%. Where's the rest? Did I destroy part of it? Let me Control Z that shit. There we go. Yeah, it's pretty large. It's fun. It's also work. You know what I mean, right? I mean, it's better than Sports Legends skills, but no, this is on multiple layers. So these are all layers up here where this arrow is. These are all the layers, and then these are groups of layers, these folder ones. So yeah, everything's separated, so that way I can take it apart later, put it back together. But yeah, this is actually really cool software. It's like $15, and works really well. So what you got going on tonight? You doing some painting or doing some FPSing or yeah, taking a break from the framing. Thanks, I appreciate it. Alright. So yeah, just fixing up this guy. I can't believe I started this. I started this like forever ago. There we go. It was like May of 2018 or something like that. It wasn't long after I started at Frameworks. You're standing in the pool on Twitter about to cook frozen pizza. Very cool. Very cool. Hey, frozen pizza, man. Can't beat that. I had a salad. A salad for dinner. I was like, man, I got all this salad. Your fam is staying in Oregon for more days spending test results. Ah. Oh, more days pending test results. I got you. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's all good, you know? Definitely. I'm feeling pretty confident about my test. I think I performed well. Yeah, I think we are too. Luckily, we're far enough away from everyone where we're kind of distanced at work, so. But you know, I'm glad they're taking precaution. That, you know, that helps a lot. Definitely a scary situation for the world, for everyone. I'm definitely gonna use this time to get some work done, I know that. Although if I had a pool, I'd probably be chilling by the pool waiting for a frozen pizza. Hey man, I appreciate you stopping by. Cheers, definitely. Enjoy your evening. Have fun with your pizza by the pool. And stay sharky. Whatever that means. Losing the hand tool. Might be trying to fit too much in here. Yeah. Yeah, it keeps clicking like that every time it switches hard drives. That's what the problem is. Where am I clicking? I've got two mice in front of me for two different computers. I consistently forget which mouse goes to what computer. I don't think the chat's been overlaid. What's up with that? Oops, that's not the button I want. Oh, I have to open Restream this whole time. All I could have. It's alright, sorry Facebook. Everyone else gets to read it with the bot. Facebook changes their API too often to have a bot. Did I click the wrong thing? Oh, I did. Where's... No, I'm typing in the wrong thing. I'm typing in Restream. I want Streamlabs. Thought it was an online thing. No, it's not. Trying to get me to download. Trying to trick me. Go to my dashboard. Okay, I think it should be working now. I don't know. No one's chatting, so it's hard to say. Sorry, I'm just tweeting the stream again. but from the podcast account. Otherwise, no one will see it. Okay, so back to work here. We've got this green stuff we're plopping in. Abdomen bottom layer. Amazing fun here. Evan. Yeah. Might as well. Highly experimental music here. Made by myself, of course. Not something that I would go around showing people, but I do actually enjoy parts of it. I would definitely make some changes if I went back to it. But for what it is, it's a funny little jam. What am I doing? I keep on going back to the mouse. They've got all these nice buttons over here. I kind of like how it's like overflowing into the other. I don't want to do that on the other side. I think I went too far there too. Where's my finger doodle? Kind of funny that my boss jumped into the stream there. Thought that was pretty good. His Twitter name Sharkleston. What the fuck? Okay. Shane's cool, dude. He's cool. Alright, alright. I need to do this underside thing. Stretch this out here. Oop. Yeah, I appreciate these labs, but too soon. Too much, too soon. What am I doing? And I feel like there's too much of a jump here. Oh, and the music's. That was the whole playlist, huh? Well, what time we got? Ooh. No, it's like three hours 50 minutes in. Took a break at like 2 hours. I should probably I don't know. Don't, but probably also give myself a break. Yeah. Since I phrased it that way, I'm gonna give myself a break. Can't continue to just keep pushing myself, especially now that I don't have work. So I am going to take a break. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for catching up on YouTube or however you're seeing this. I appreciate it. Check out the game Retro Spaceball. It's really easy to find on itch. If you're not familiar with itch is a great website. It's a marketplace where you can find indie games. You can set up your own store front way easier than Steam. If you make games or if you sell assets or software. Yeah, it's got some social aspects to it and stuff, and you can very easily find my game just by searching Retro Spaceball. Or you can go to this directly. Very easy to find. There's no longer a web build because it was glitchy and buggy, and this is a better experience. You just hit this button here. You get to name your own price. If you put 0, that's okay with me. That's actually fine with me. I prefer that you pay what you feel you'd like to pay, and if you don't have any money, that's fine. I'm not trying to take your last dollar. But what I would like is some feedback. We've got this little community section here. Also, there's like a plethora of ways to get in touch with me. Obviously, here through the stream, through whatever platform. If it's YouTube, you can always leave a comment. If it's Facebook, you can talk to me directly during the stream, after stream, anytime. I don't care. Twitter, same, anytime, all the time. Join the Discord. Jump in and just say hi. there nearly all the time unless I'm working. Um, yeah, no, I'm totally trying to make friends, meet new people, help game devs, uh, hang out with non-game devs. Um, yeah, thanks so much for hanging out. I'm gonna call it there. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you and good night.